Welcome to the Becoming babyREADY podcast, your podcast for queer family planning. My name is Sam, and throughout this podcast, you'll hear me have conversations with professionals who work alongside people who want to start and grow their families, as well as parents of intentionally created families. Everyone I speak to identifies as being part of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community. This is your opportunity to learn answers to questions you didn't even know you had. When you have the opportunity to record a conversation with a birth doula/nanny, as well as a director from LGBTQ Connection Sonoma, then you jump at the opportunity. This beautiful couple, Mariah and Solicia, have had the opportunity to each carry a child in their family, and together they talk about their birth experiences, their pregnancy journeys, and everything in between. Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm excited to be talking to Mariah and Solicia, and they're in California, far, far away from where I am in the rain in the Toronto area. Welcome to the two of you. Please tell us who you are and about the members of your family.
I'll start. I'm Mariah. I am one of our two-mom family. We have two kids, Nora and Mateo. Nora's our oldest. She's 6, and Mateo's our youngest, and he is in the thick of 2.
Wow.
And we also have a dog and a cat and a fish
and hermit crab.
And one hermit crab.
Yeah.
So you have a zoo entirely, all the way around.
Yeah, totally. And my name is Solicia. A lot of my friends call me Sol. I go by any pronoun. I think Mariah covered a lot of the family dynamic there. I don't think we missed anyone.
Excellent. Then, Solicia, let me ask you, of all of the different ways that there are for members of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community to create a family, how did the two of you decide to create yours?
This is kind of a happy stance long story, I think. Well, so prior to me meeting Mariah, I didn't really have any plans to have a family. That wasn't really what I thought was in the cards for me. And then I met Mariah, and shortly after meeting Mariah, I was like, if she will have me, I will marry this person and have a family with this person. I just kind of felt that right off the bat. And then, how many ever years later, 5 years later after that, when we were deciding or thinking about how to have a family after we got...
I can't remember how many years. It was like 7 years? Maybe?
Yeah, that's mathing, and I can't do that right now. But sometime after, when we were talking about it, we were thinking of like how we wanted to create a family unit. And I grew up, not really knowing my bio dad's side of the family. I am reconnected with them now. But yeah, at the time I had no really like linkage there. And I felt like as a kid, I really needed that. So, you look in the mirror, you kind of want to know where you're from, what's going on with these things that you see in front of you, your features, mannerisms, all sorts of things. So that was really important to me. I wanted our children to have access to that. And speaking that over with Mariah too, I think that was kind of a value and something that we wanted to make sure that our children had. So an understanding and agreeing that a known donor was kind of the route we wanted to take. Mm-hmm. Funny enough, and ironically enough, I had a friend in college named Derek, who's a pivotal point character in this whole narrative here. I was in his kitchen at 21. Honestly, I was like hungover, and hanging out in his kitchen. And Derek said, "Hey, since we're both queer, and things are a little different for us, do you think if we get older and we want to make a family, we could do that together?" And I said, "Sure, Derek." I didn't really think much of it at the time. And then
this was years before
I met Mariah. And that just kind of always stayed in my mind. And then as me and Mariah were planning, I was like, hey, I have this friend who I actually haven't seen in years, who pitched this to me when I was hungover. I didn't really sell it that well.
I was like, what? There's some like your college friend like proposed having babies and now you want to like
I didn't really give it
I wasn't on board.
Really? Shocking.
So, yeah, I didn't pitch it that well, but a little while after that, we went to Ross. This is also a major part of this whole story.
You guys have Ross?
No, what is that?
Oh, it's just like it's a store that sells like discounted. It's not the greatest store. It's just like,
but Mariah loves it. It's a place where I think
you can find anything there.
Find anything there, solace, things from the 70s up until the 90s, up until current times. It has everything you could ever imagine in there.
Cool.
I get overwhelmed in Ross. I do not like to go to Ross. So I usually kick rocks and I head out to the bookstore. And I went to Copperfield Books and I was looking around and I hear Derek's voice. And I turn and I go, Derek? And I hadn't seen him maybe 5-6 years at that point. He goes, oh my gosh, Solicia. And we just, reconnected. I met his now husband, who also plays a pivotal role because that's why they were at Copperfield's Books. Douglas grew up in this area.
Okay.
So he re-entered my life. Mariah met Derek shortly after that. And like how many people do, fell in love with Derek. It's kind of
you can't help it. He's like a wonderful, gentle, just sweetest person ever.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then shortly after that, Mariah came on board with the initial idea that I pitched and then proposed that we write a letter to Derek kind of outlining this dream and wish. So, babe, do you have anything you want to add to that, or do you want me to keep telling the story?
It was very like, I didn't know him that well. Like we had gone to like a few kind of group meals together, but like I didn't know him well, and it was like, how do you ask somebody that question? Like it felt so heavy. So yeah, we both decided we would write him an individual letter, like from us personally, and like sent it in the mail, and he was open to it. He was like, can we like talk about it a little more? And he was like, Mariah, like I don't really know you, can we go on like a few like friend dates, just you and me, to like get to know each other a little bit more?
Wow.
And I loved his attitude towards it in the very beginning. Like he was open to it. He was taking it seriously, but also not taking like control over it. Like it wasn't ever like, I have conditions. Like it never felt like he was like making conditions or trying to like take control of the process, sort of.
Which really speaks to his spirit and his way. I really love Derek a lot for many reasons. And I think one of the things I love most about our relationship is that we can have tough conversations and they don't feel so heavy. Because of the presence and the intentionality and the mindfulness that he brings into space. That's just his nature. I really lucked out in this lifetime finding a friend like that. So yeah, I was really grateful that he re-entered and also with this too, Douglas, his partner, to be on board and supportive in all of this. Because there's certain nuances when you're creating a queer family that, could be heavy for people to navigate. There's like legality, there's things to get signed. There are those awkward conversations, letting everyone know we are the primary caretakers. We're not here to ask any kind of funding from you or like payments
or even like co-parenting. We're not looking to do like a group parenting situation. It's right. Solicia and
then establishing roles, but like what is Derek's role and what is Douglas's role, because they are family. So coming up, really it's like you figure it out as you go, and these conversations evolve. They're still evolving because different phases of the kid's life dynamics change and kind of like these unforeseen things happen too. So I'm again just super grateful that we found people that we can have the recurring processes with, and like huddles and dialogue.
And it wasn't always easy. I feel like for me, like especially sort of in the idea of children before they were actually existed, there was for me more than Solicia, I feel like there was this like, they're mine, like nobody else can have any claim to them, and like I didn't want anyone sort of holding on to them.
Mhm.
And I feel like that was coming from a lot of, I don't know, I don't really, of fear maybe, but it was something more too. And then once you're like, once the children were there, it was like, oh, these other people who are important in their lives, like the more people that want to love your kids and give them good energy and like support them and just be loving adults in their lives is a wonderful thing. And that's where I have to keep coming back to if I ever have those moments of like, but they're mine, like don't have any
Right.
claim on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another important piece too. It's like Mariah and I were able to develop like what we wanted and like what we thought of, and Derek and Douglas were able to meet us there. But our kids also play a really important part here too, which is like they basically have ownership of who everyone means and who everyone is to them. And as parents, I'm here to just support them in that. And I'm learning through them what this whole thing is about. It's about love, family, mentorship, guidance, learning, loving, falling down, picking yourself back up, and like having all of these like humbling moments throughout all of it. And with them being present, it has given more clarity to our whole family dynamic too. So
This just added so much to it. Like our lives, you know, Derek's parents are in our life, Douglas's parents are in our life. We can, you know, like whenever there's family gatherings and meals, like we're, you know, not every single time, but like we're a part of everyone's life now, and they're all part of our kids' life. And it's incredibly, like I sometimes like knock on wood. I'm like, this couldn't have worked out any better. Like we feel incredibly lucky and
grateful.
Yeah, really, really grateful.
But you've also grown up in a time where, I mean, the fear doesn't surprise me insofar as growing up in a time where if you know the biological sperm donor for your child, then there is always going to be, until you can reconcile that with yourself, that worry that somehow some law is going to shift and it's not going to be your child anymore. And so I think, you know, you talk about this fear, but I think it's rooted in an awful lot of history that that certainly sits there. So it's a valid concern. Did you go about finding the legal documents and having everything signed about
We did, yeah. I think before we even tried for the first time, we had everything very squared away.
Yeah.
And yeah, he signed away all his like parental rights, and we had a contract drawn up with a lawyer. And then even since we waited until we had both kids, but Solicia and I have both done the second parent adoption for both of our kids.
Which also highlights disparity there, because if we were a cis hetero, you know, couple, regardless of whether or not we were blood related to the children, we wouldn't have to do that. So yeah, we have to, I think queer families, queer couples really have to be mindful of all of the laws, because depending on who's in office, what local government is like, you have to know your rights, and
or what state you're in.
What state you're in. Even with these legalities, we know inherently that harm can still come our way, and that people have biases, and that can really harm our community. Mhm.
Absolutely. So we know that it's a known donor.
Mhm.
Is it Derek for both, or was it Derek for one and Douglas for another, or
Derek for both. Yeah.
Derek for both?
Yeah.
Fair. I'm just like, oh, now I don't even know this question.
Yeah.
And did you use one uterus for both pregnancies? Did you each use your a uterus for?
Yeah. Yeah. So I, being a little bit older, I carried our daughter the first pregnancy, she's 6 now, and then Solicia carried our son Mateo.
Mhm.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. So they are biologically related to one another,
Yes.
and to you. And so you have together also navigated the I'm not the bio parent.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yes.
been a big.
Oh,
Oh, did I hit a nail?
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
you?
So Solicia, like I feel like for I carried Nora, and from very early she was mama's girl. Like she just, and still is, honestly. And so that left Solicia having to navigate, like, days that I worked and
Crying all
a
day
lot of
long that would happen.
Yeah.
Oh man. Crying that would happen all day long, and like
Yeah.
just feeling so helpless and having nothing else to do but just take a video of me crying with the baby after hours of crying and sending that to Mariah. Like, I have no idea what to do here. I tried everything. You were the one
Yeah.
that is wanted right now.
Yep.
Love you.
Yeah. Thanks for going to work, dear.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But now we have Mateo, who is very, very. So I go by mom or mama or whatever, and Solicia is Momo,
Momo.
and
Okay.
he is all about Momo.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think that typically happens, regardless of how the dynamics of the birth happen and things like that. I find that children find a parent that they tend to go to
Yeah.
more quickly. That it isn't even that their love is divided differently. I think it's just this is the parent I've become accustomed to going to. This is the parent I've become accustomed to going to, and it's different for everybody. But I think that that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
But when you are not biologically related to the child too, then it does add a different layer to it. It doesn't necessarily mean you love the child less. It just means you're like, come on, but I love
Yeah.
you. I just want to help.
I have all this love for you, and
Yeah.
you're rejecting me.
I had moments of that too, because Derek would come visit when Nora was very little. I remember there was this one moment where he was feeding her, and there was a knowing. I don't know how else to describe that, a knowing between the two of them. And I remember like, oh, and it was beautiful. And I think about it now, and I'm like, that was it. Unbelievable thing to witness. And in the moment, it was almost like a stab in the heart. I had a conversation with Derek. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm just out of the sphere here, and yeah, I think because I'm in my own lived reality, and I have my own concepts of what love and affection look like.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't encompass what all of it is, and yeah, I very much play an important role in all of this. Mariah is the comfort parent, and Momo is the one that will wrestle, the one that will have the joke, the one that will snuggle at night. Like there is but yeah, you navigate your own ego, I guess. I don't know how else to put that.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, being a parent, all in all, is the most humbling experience I've ever. And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for that, because the perspective it's provided me is something that I apply everywhere in my life. And yeah, I'm just thankful for those bits and like humbling, beautiful moments I get to see, and that knowing I got to witness too between Derek and Nora.
And it will take on a different meaning. We don't want it to matter whether we've birthed a child or not, but when you've had the opportunity to then birth a child yourself, then how you perceive things shifts again, right? And it's so hard when people ask me before babies come, and I say, well, it's hard to describe. You'll just know, or you'll just this, or you'll just that. And it feels like I'm patting them on the head like they're a toddler going, when you grow up, you'll find
Yeah.
out. But there are some things that we just can't fully comprehend in life until we have actually experienced them. And it isn't a slight against someone who never gets to experience it, but it just is a physical reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
becomes a lived truth. It's hard to explain the theory until you actually have it in practice in your life and you feel it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you know your donor. Did you use a clinic to assist with insemination and do IUI, or did you do something at home, the old, turkey baster route?
We did the old-fashioned turkey baster route.
Yeah.
And the first time, I think with Nora, I stopped by CVS and I was like, do you have any baby syringe plunger things? And they were like, what? Because I thought you could just buy some. And so the lady just gave me one, but it was it had a pointy little tip on it. Not very pointy, but it was for medicine. It wasn't for that use. And it was very uncomfortable.
I would think.
With Solicia, I did a little more research, and there's I think it's called Mosey, something like that. But I basically hacked that, and I ordered, I think they're called lube launchers, something like that. They're a rounded tip, little tiny plunger, anyway, we used that and had the very first time Derek came over to our house, he spent the weekend. He's so sweet, and we did a little kind of light incense. We did a little mindful ritual.
Brought in our ancestors.
Yeah.
Nice.
Talked about where we're at in our lives and what we're hoping to cultivate together. It really, it was just a nice ritualization of each visit that we had.
But there was also some giggling and awkwardness. We're like, okay, I guess go in the other room.
This isn't something that usually happens in my house, but go ahead.
This is weird. And then he brought us his little gift, and
And you've got Nora and Mateo, so
honestly, I was tracking my cycle and had done all that kind of back research and stuff, and it worked the very first time. And you probably aren't familiar with this. So was it 2017? There was horrible wildfires here, and it burned through part of Santa Rosa.
Oh my gosh.
We were evacuated.
So we were evacuated. It was really close to our house. It was a huge, crazy thing that happened here in Santa Rosa. And we were evacuated, and we had just tried, 2 weeks earlier. And I was like, I kind of want to just I'm going to buy a pregnancy test, even though we have all these ones at home, but we're evacuated. So I bought a pregnancy test, kind of hoping that it wouldn't work that month, because we had just gone through such a stressful thing. And it was I kind of don't want to deal with this right now.
Yeah.
And it was positive. And we were just like, holy crap. Okay, here we go. And then we got home, and our landlord, we lived on a small little piece of property with our landlord, and their parents' house had burnt down. And they gave us, was it 60 days notice to move, because they wanted their parents to be able to, live close by. And, we've, in the evacuation, it was a very windy night, and there was trees everywhere, and I ran over a stick, and it stabbed my car, and my car died. So in the matter of finding out I was pregnant, we had to move. I had to buy a new car. It was a very
tumultuous time.
Yeah. And I had a lot of guilt, kind of feeling I wanted this baby so bad, and I don't want it right now. I was this wasn't the way it was all supposed to play out.
Yeah.
First humbling moment of being a parent.
Yeah.
You don't ever get to,
Yeah.
you have your ideas and somehow the universe is like, and no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They just take that. You've got this picture that you've painted, and the universe just takes the black paintbrush and just keeps
Yeah,
brushing
just-
right over it, right?
Yeah.
Nope,
Yeah.
let's
Try
revisit
again.
this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it happens the way that it's supposed to happen for whatever reason, whether it's fate or whether it's ancestors or how, whatever it is that affects our energy in this lifetime, something happens to make it be the way that it's supposed to be. And it feels messed up sometimes, but from that we grow and learn our biggest lessons, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Hold on for just a moment. We'll be right back. You know about babyREADY because you're listening to this podcast, so you know that we are all about queer family planning and helping you have the family of your dreams. But did you know that we don't abandon you once your baby arrives? We actually offer parenting coaching as well, and that's not just for the newborn phase, although we are there for that, but it's through toddlerhood and young children, tweens, and even through the teen years. When you need someone unbiased to lend an ear so that they can hear where your struggles truly are and help you come up with a path and a plan that feels truly right for you and your individual family, don't hesitate to reach out. We are always happy to be there for you. Visit us at www.babyready.info for more information. So how did you birth? Did you birth with midwives? Did you birth hospital? How'd you do it?
Yeah. So I had attended, I don't even remember, quite a few births as a doula. And I had attended some births at a birth center, and I was like, that's totally where I want to go. That's my route. And I was getting kind of dual care because some of the lab stuff would be more affordable through our hospital, and then they would like send that over to the birth center. And everything was going good. And then I started swelling up really like suddenly. And I got preeclampsia, or I was like on the road to preeclampsia, and they were kind of monitoring me closely, but I was not able to birth at the birth center. And because I went into labor at 35 weeks, or at 30, I guess I gave birth on 35 weeks exactly, to the day. But that would have also made it so I couldn't birth at the birth center.
Yeah. Is there cutoff 37?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was surprising, but my birth went amazing for, even for being early, and it was like pretty fast. And
Nora came into our life, and also there's like some sort for the partner that is not pregnant, there's some sort of like adjustments, I don't know, reality checks. I remember like having a conversation with Mariah, like, I love you and I'm so excited, and I'm afraid what our dynamic is gonna be, because you're gonna love this baby more than me, and like, what does that mean? And the moment Nora came into our world, fell in love with her instantly. And I remember there was this moment where Mariah worked so hard to get Nora here, and I stayed in the NICU with Nora in a little stool seat, holding her skin to skin. I did not leave her. Right. I did not leave her side at all. I was there for hours before they finally gave me like an actual chair.
Yeah, they didn't give her like even, it was like a rolly chair.
I was like, I will sit on the floor. I'm not leaving this little baby. And some part after that, Mariah was like, so you love this baby. Do you love this baby more than me? And I go, oh yeah. Oh yes, I do.
But it was sort of an understanding of like both of us looking at this baby, just like, oh yeah, no, this baby is everything.
Yeah. We're here together to ensure that this person gets everything from the both of us, like the best parts. And all of the things that I was afraid of happening do happen. Lack of sleep. You don't have your, pardon me, but shit together every day. Like all this stuff I was afraid of happening did happen. The only thing I wasn't anticipating was how I'd feel about it all. Which there's nothing better. It's crazy. It's chaos. It's going to the zoo. And I'm so happy to be in it. It provides us with so much purpose and love, and what a gift. There's people that come before us, queer couples that didn't get to have this. And I'm so grateful. Yeah. So Mariah worked really hard to bring Nora here, and gosh, what an incredible thing to see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it is a different perspective than when you go into doing it yourself, because now you have an appreciation for what it is that she did do, because you've physically done it yourself too, right?
Yeah. And Solicia had quite a birth story as well.
Yeah. Mateo. So my pregnancy with Mateo was beautiful.
I felt sick the whole time with Nora, and like me being like, I've always been into birth and like bellies, and just like I thought I would be like so like glowing.
Yeah, you're gonna be the earth mama, right?
Yeah. I was not. I was like, felt like garbage, and I felt hungover, like I had morning sickness, and I just felt like generally terrible.
Ill. And you had
most of the time.
You had preeclampsia.
Yeah, and then I swelled up, and I had heartburn. Like it was just gross feeling.
I didn't.
Alicia was the time.
Just I didn't.
I didn't. I went swimming in the morning, all the way up until like a week before I gave birth. I felt great. I felt the most beautiful I ever did in my life. Worked all the way until the end. And then I went into labor, or they call it fake labor, which I don't know why they call it
prodromal labor,
for 5 days.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
For 5 days.
Every single night you would have contractions where she couldn't sleep all night long. And like I was trying to stay awake with her, but like night 3 was like I was laying on the floor of the couch, or like I was laying on the floor, you were on the couch, and I would like try to like pop up when she had a contraction and be like, I'm here, it's okay. And then
she'd fall asleep a little bit. I was like, you can't sleep, I'm here working. Yeah. And then
like night 3 though.
Yeah. And they would spread out during the day, but they were still pretty intense. We ended up going to see Jurassic Park sometime.
Yeah, our midwife was like, I think you guys just need to like get out of the house, change the vibe, like go to a movie. And the only movie we could think of or like sounded at all interesting was Jurassic Park,
which was perfect because when the contractions would come, the dinosaurs would be like, screaming at each other or whatever, and I could like
she was like groaning and having contractions in the movie theater
watching Jurassic Park. So that was day 3. My plan was to give birth at home. So I gave birth in this very house that we're sitting in now. That was because the hospital's not too far away, and I kind of had an ideal situation, and I was like, I'd rather just be comfortable in my space and like have my things, and like I don't have to travel anywhere. It would just be...
And you've never like felt comfortable in hospitals?
No, my experience, I also don't want my experience to like be, I don't know, kind of dictate someone else's. If you vibe with the hospital, go for it.
100%.
So day 3 rolled around, went to Jurassic Park. Day 4 rolled around. My leg gave out. I had like kind of a pinched nerve.
Oh yeah, you like couldn't walk. I think the baby was like sort of slightly, and I think this is why she was in prodromal labor for so long, was that the baby was slightly crooked and like not coming down straight. Yeah. So I think it was like banging into her hip basically, and her legs stopped working.
So I told Mariah, like, you know what, I think I had enough. Let's get ready to go to the hospital. I'm gonna take a bath. Give me something to help alleviate this pain. Yeah,
we were gonna do one more night, and then the next day we were gonna call it, basically.
Yeah. And so I'm like really excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, comfort, here I come. I'm gonna give myself.
We were gonna give her like a glass of wine,
a
bath, We called someone to come over and do a little body work.
Yeah.
We were gonna like try to
Zip
get her
it
as
up.
relaxed as possible and try to get some sleep.
I get to the bathroom and my water breaks.
Oh.
And then shortly
Okay.
after that, I go into active labor, and I'm like, okay, well, erase that desire.
We're not
Here
going
we
to sleep.
are. Derek came over with my mom a little while later, to help hold space with my mom. But yeah, it was in the bedroom, I think, kind of early in the morning. I worked really hard for that too. I stopped having contractions.
Yeah, when the
Mhm.
pushing phase came, she just stopped really having contractions.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to have give birth in the tub in the pool thing that they brought over. Didn't really work out. Also, yeah, you just surrender. You don't have
Yeah,
any control. You and the baby together are working, and all the support you can get really matters. So, I had to let that go. But yeah, I worked really hard to push Mateo out, and after a lot of pushing,
Yeah, I think you pushed for 3 hours.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
So contractions, that's hard.
Yeah,
yeah.
it was crazy.
It was really crazy. And then after finally getting his head out, the midwife realized that his shoulder was not positioned well. So I went into a what was that called? Like lunge?
Yeah, she was on her back, and then they were like, roll over. So we all
Get
kind of
on your hands and knees.
flipped her over, and then with like one knee up like a runner's
Yeah.
lunge kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Perfect timing. Before that happened, Mariah was like, should we go get Nora? Because Nora wanted to watch Mateo be bored. And I was like,
Right.
don't leave me. But she somehow woke up at the right time.
Yeah, Nora came in our bedroom. The head was already born, and she's like, Mom, hello.
Derek was there, so he was able to hold Nora. We have a very fantastic picture of just captures the moment of Derek, like not really.
Derek looking petrified,
Yeah.
basically.
It was great. Yeah. And then the midwives and me got Mateo out, and
they had to like reach up and pull him through.
Very painful. He came out, and I couldn't believe how big he was. He was just this gigantic baby. Nora was so tiny.
Nora was 4 pounds 6 ounces when she was born, so she was really little.
Right.
And Mateo was really big.
Mateo was really big. So I just couldn't believe that I gave birth to such a big baby. And just to have that moment with everyone, there's this kind of like, I don't know what to call it, but when a baby's born, there's this sharing of spirit energy. People all are present in this way that is very rare to be in space with. And it was just that moment, and looking at someone coming into the world and being in it together, that was incredible. And having my mom there, Mariah, Derek, Nora, the midwives, the person who ended up being my body worker was also a doula, and she ended up just sticking around, and I'm so thankful for her.
Yeah, that was such a magical thing. So she came over. She's like a well-known, really good doula around here. And she also does like spinning baby stuff, and she does body work. And so I reached out to the doula group when Solicia's hip was giving her trouble. And I was just like, this is what's going on. Like, any suggestions, because I'd been pulling out all my tricks, but like, it just felt like we needed day 3 coming around. I was like, I need help. So she came over and had done some body work on Solicia during the afternoon, and it helped so much.
Yeah.
And so we were like, let's bring her back. We're gonna send Solicia off to bed that night. So that was like 5 minutes. Solicia's water broke, and her name is B, came over like 5 minutes later. She was planned to come to like do body work to send Solicia off to bed. And she just stepped into the doula role and was kind of like, do you guys want me to be here? Like, I'm happy to be here. And we were like, yes, we do. Like, we love you.
Yeah. And I thought prior to being in our lives, because Mariah is a doula, I was like, oh, I don't need a doula. Mariah knows how to do the things. If I can gift every birthing parent anything, it's get a doula. Because your partner's role is your partner's role in the birth. And again, it's one of those things that you don't know until you're doing it. Your partner needs to stay your partner, and the doula is really helpful for everything. Oh my gosh, like the midwives have their role, and the doula is the piece that holds it all together and has your back, and like really provides there's this knowing, and like they know how to provide you with space, comfort, your needs. They have all the tips and tricks, and really just get you in the best state possible to do this beautiful thing. So yeah, if I can gift any birthing parent anything, it would be access to a doula.
Yeah. Fair. And it's funny because my next question was going to be, are there any words of caution or wisdom that you would share with people who are about to start on this journey? Apparently getting a doula is a big one. And I, as a doula,
Really
I'm going to say, yep.
And for my birth, being a doula, I was like, oh, I don't really need one because like I know a lot of that stuff and I'll be able to doula myself. You can't do that.
Nope.
Your brain doesn't, it just turns off kind of like I mean, I was able to access some of the stuff. Like they would ask me like, you know, oh, do you want this? Or like, I knew what I wanted a little bit more, but like we didn't have a doula for me. I had my super good friend, you know, going into labor early. All my plans of people who I was going to have attend couldn't come. And so we had my super good friend who could come show up, and she was wonderful. And she was sort of my doula. And I remember I was like laying in bed still, and she came in and was like, let's get out of bed. Let's like maybe take a shower. And I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot like that was even an option.
You showed up with your mom, and that was unplanned too.
Yeah.
Mariah's mom, Susan, was out of town and then showed up back from Ireland.
Yeah, my mom had traveled to Ireland and was, you know, she had flown home that day. Their flight had been delayed. She was traveling with like her sister and someone else, and they have to drive through Santa Rosa to get up farther north. And I called my mom, like, well, I'm at the hospital. I guess I'm in labor. And she was like, what? I'm driving through Santa Rosa right now. And they were like, well, pull over, go to my house. Like, we'll call you when it's time to come.
And that's another piece to this too. Having support, I think, would be words of wisdom during the birth, because eating's important too. And when you're the partner of the parent that's giving birth, you kind of forget that because you're just in it, you know? And so if it's a doula or family or someone there that can like help give you a sandwich and say, hey, go take 5 minutes, super helpful. Support is really, really important. And when it comes to the actually like providing you with nourishment and also providing you with extra advocacy so that there's someone to communicate with the medical staff, like, I know Mariah wanted this. Can we make sure that this happens? And all of that stuff. It's really helpful to get people on deck.
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Just having that extra. And I often say to people when I'm teaching a class or where it's leading up to their birth, remember to make sure that as the non-birthing parent, you're meeting your needs or someone's helping you meet your needs, because the person birthing is conscious of the fact that you haven't eaten for a while, you haven't slept for a while, you haven't had something to drink. When was the last time you went to the bathroom? Like, if you're not giving yourself permission to separate yourself for a couple of minutes because you're worried about missing something or disappointing the birthing parent, unfortunately, what that's going to do is add their stress level, which slows down the labor progress and makes them feel more uncomfortable. So just keep talking about things, right?
Yes. I have a funny story kind of related to that when I was in labor. So I kind of labored all night and was able to actually sleep for a while. Like we got in there probably at like midnight, and we both climbed into bed and we like spooned all night long, and I would just kind of groan every, I don't even know, like 7 or 10 minutes my contractions were through the night, which is amazing that we were actually sleeping. I don't know how that happened, but some at like 5 in the morning, Solicia, I'm having a contraction, and then she starts groaning and like moving, and I was just like, God, how dare you like move? Like it was like, what is possibly wrong with you? And she was like, I'm having really bad cramps. I'm getting my period. And I was just like, are you kidding me? But luckily,
Yeah.
my half-assed hospital bag that I had packed, which wasn't even like, I was so early that I had just kind of started packing it. I had packed Advil in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's in the pocket on the outside.
Yeah.
Like, go get it. Take care of yourself.
Right? Because I need you to fix yourself so you
Yeah.
can come back here and help me.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And then we were up for the day and we were like, okay, I think it's time to call the people in, and it's happening.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Are there any other words of wisdom? Is there anything that you were hoping we'd talk about today that we haven't touched on?
Not really. I think we haven't really touched on breastfeeding at all. Both Solicia
Right.
and I were able to breastfeed, and that, at least for me, was like very, very important. And in the beginning, with Nora being so little, she actually was nursing and latching and everything, even though she was so tiny, like really good. But she was so little and she lost weight that we had to do triple feeding with her, which is like, I would nurse her for like 10 minutes, but they didn't want me to nurse her for too long because she was so little that it would like tire her out.
Fatigue her, yeah.
So then we would nurse, and then I would pump for 20 minutes, and then we would finger feed her. And like doing that, and that's every 2 hours. And that whole process like would take, I don't know, especially those first few days before we'd like really gotten in the flow of it, would take like an hour. So then you only had 1 hour to like try to sleep or anything. And we were so tired. And I think it gave me a lot of anxiety, like around feeding her, especially the first like 6 months, probably. I'd be like, when did we feed her last? What time is it? Like, you just said her like 40 minutes ago. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
That was something. For me with Mateo, breastfeeding there's a lot to it. There is and there isn't. But that's another piece to this too. Like, get all the education you can. Your body's gonna change. Get help with that. I was really fortunate. Someone that I went swimming with in the morning was a retired lactation consultant. So I had like, I got really engorged after I gave birth, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I was like, oh, I'm Mariah. I don't need to do these things. Do all the things.
Right.
About breastfeeding. And somehow having like a new person come in and maybe say the same stuff that I had been saying was helpful,
Absolutely. And we need that. We need our partner to be our partner in certain roles, and we need the professionals to be the professionals. And it can be difficult there's a reason why doctors aren't supposed to treat their own family members, right? We need to be able to separate church and state in this case, And I think that that's important because you are emotionally invested in the whole process. So you need that support. I always tell people too, while you're still pregnant, make your connections with your lactation consultants in town. And because it's easier to, like you say, someone that you swam with. So it was someone that you knew. So it's easier to call that person because you've already made that connection with them outside of needing their services at that time.
Yeah. And when you're like engorged or your baby isn't latching or like
stressing out,
you're so stressed, and sometimes you're in pain, and it can feel really like not life or death, but it can feel like this needs to be resolved like right now. My baby isn't eating and like it needs to eat or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I fully agree.
And one more thing too, I would people don't talk about this enough too, but relationship dynamics change.
Yeah.
So communication doesn't happen as much as it did before. There's kind of like disconnect. It almost feels like you're sitting right next to someone, but you're like waiting chipped parts away, you know, just like across
I remember
the sea.
when Nora was in our bed in the beginning, in this little sleeper thing in the middle, and like Solicia and I would like touch feet. Be like, hi over there, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's important. You need those times to connect.
Yeah.
Because resentment can happen, and they're real, and feelings come up. So if possible, I think couples therapy really helps, because it actually sets an intentional time for you two to be present, and has someone to like help that dialogue, because it does get strained.
Again, tired and like,
yeah, lack of sleep, all these things happen. So it helps bring just, you know, kind of center you two for at least once a week to get that space to talk, because things get turned upside down. So that was something I was really excited to have with Mariah, that helped out a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I do agree with you that the idea of couples therapy, or talking to somebody for just some basic stuff, and even if you can't afford couples therapy, one of the things that I often tell my clients is pick a day of the week and a time of the day where you specifically set time aside to sit back to back, not facing each other, and just spend 5 minutes talking about whatever has come to your mind over the last week, good, bad, or otherwise.
Yeah.
And then after your 5 minutes is done, your partner's 5 minutes starts, and it's not a reaction to what you've said. It's their 5 minutes worth of talking about the things.
Yeah. And that's a piece to it too. It's like, when you take accountability or acknowledge, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to take blame or the shame. It's acknowledging your contribution to the situation or lack thereof. And that's it. It's like just being able to sit in that with your partner, because it does get really hard. And the thing that really ensures that things work out well, or as best they can in our society, is that you two stay together and work as a team. But it gets hard.
It is. And when we stop talking is when the real cracks form. So just keep talking. We aren't always going to like the things that our partner says. That's just a statement of fact. Whether we have children or we don't have children in this foray, right? We're not always going to love the things our partner says, but if we don't say them and we just bury them, that just means that that's a ticking time bomb. There's an earthquake coming.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day too, I'm actually really happy that our kids see us have those conversations, or like even stopped in on our couples counseling sessions. Like they saw how we work through things. So that was also really helpful too.
100%.
You
need to be fallible in front of them. They need to see you struggle. They need to see you have disagreements, not fights necessarily, but disagreements, and come to understandings and compromise. It can't just be sunshine and roses. Exactly. Before I let you go, and I will let you go to get on with your day, I want to ask you both to tell me, what is your very favorite part of parenting?
For me, I mean, that's a hard question to like. I've always loved kids and babies, like especially babies. They're just, the whole thing, it feels like, and I'm not a spiritual person really. I don't have any practice. I don't know what I believe, whatever. It just feels like magic to me. Like the idea that you created a person, like grew them and created them, and then they're this whole person with like personality and feelings, and just like, it's magic. It's just magic.
That's
And I think for me, it's the togetherness, the connection that kids bring, with the connection you get with them, with your family, your nuclear family, with your friends, with your community. Kids are like Mariah was saying, kids are magical. They do that without language. It's something that they have connection to. It's like bringing people together. And that and the learning. Like I said, I think being a parent is the most incredible part of my life, and it's helped me in many different aspects of my life. At work, with relationships that I have, it really has centered me, and these kids have really made me a better person. I don't know how else to contextualize that, but a much better person.
I think that's a pretty good one. Before I let you go, and I am letting you go, I promise, Mariah, can you let everyone know how they can find you if they're looking for a doula and they happen to be in the Santa Rosa area?
I'm probably the easiest way would be like just to find me on Facebook or Instagram, which is my name, Mariah, and my last name is Aldenstoft. Do you want me to spell it out?
Probably a good idea. Yes, please.
It's ALBANSTOFT is my last name.
Cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me today and sharing your story of amazing family creation.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining me today on the Becoming Baby Ready podcast. If you have a story that you'd like to share, or you know someone who might, if you're a professional who works in the capacity of helping people start and grow their families, and you identify as being a part of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community yourself, then please don't hesitate to reach out. We always have room for more stories to share, and there's always more learning to do.